emotionally, they're going to have a few weeks now to rest before they have that first playoff game.
You know, this is the kind of stuff you better be careful. You know, this kind of thing, trying to play with the terrible towel.
The terrible towel is poised to strike.
And the long offseason for Tennessee begins.
You need to know about the mystery of this terrible towel. Last December, a couple of my knuckleheads stomped on it, and we haven't won a game since.
Good morning, YouTube. It's your favorite Steelers family coming back with another one. And, of course, another victory. To my right, I have...
Juice.
And I am...
Duck.
Yeah. Changed it up on y'all a little bit.
Anyways, we're going to be talking about the Steelers-Titans game today. Yeah, it can't be the Steelers game without a heart attack in between. And next week, we have, oh boy, the Ravens.
Yeah, exactly. The Steelers love keeping it close. My buddy who's a Titans fan, shout out to you, Evan, was texting me at halftime saying, hey, good game, you guys deserve the win. And I told him, whoa, pump the brakes, buddy. It's not a Steelers game until we're neck and neck. And that's exactly what happened. We came down to a field goal. Should have never happened, but it did.
I'm going to bring this into stats now. Big Ben Roethlisberger didn't have his best game today. He went 32 for 49, 268 yards, 2 TDs, and 3 INTs. One of them was his fault. The others were just pop-up catches.
I agree. Either way, though, we can't get the ball to the Titans 3 times. Ben is now 2-0-1 in his last 3 games where he threw 3 picks.
What?
The win against the Titans, a win against Jacksonville in 2018, and then a tie in 2018 against Cleveland Browns.
Okay, so now my favorite part of the game, the rushing game, is what I'm about to talk about. James Conner had 20 rushes, 82 yards. That's a 4.1 average, and he had 3 receptions this game for 29 yards.
Now, Juju had 9 receptions for 14 targets, 85 yards, which is his season high. Diontae Johnson, or we call him DJ, 9 receptions, 15 targets, 80 yards, and 2 TDs. And it was nice to see Ebron get some love on tight end day. He had 6 receptions, 8 targets, and 50 yards. There was a good pass where Ben broke out of the pocket and just flipped it to Ebron. That just shows that their connection's really building.
Okay, so on the year, we have 3 different receivers with multiple touchdowns in each game. For example, Juju against the Giants had 2 touchdowns. Claypool had multiple touchdowns against the Eagles, and now DJ has 2 touchdowns against the Titans. Ben's really finding his toys.
Vince Williams had 10 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss. Uncle Joe had 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. TJ Watt, 5 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss. Our defense was alright. They let A.J. Brown make more catches than he should have, but they held Henry to under 100 yards, so I cannot complain.
Speaking of Derrick Henry, he had 20 rushes, 75 yards. That's a 3.8 average. He only had 1 touchdown. We dethroned the king. And Ryan Tannehill went 18 for 30, 220 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Now, the last podcast I said the keys to this game was stopping Henry, limiting A.J. Brown. Well, we did 1 out of the 2. A.J. Brown has 6 receptions, 8 targets, 153 yards, and 1 touchdown. Corey Davis had 6 receptions, 10 targets, 35 yards, and 1 TD.
Malcolm Butler had 8 tackles and nothing else after that.
Got him! Got him!
Dane Kusanke, Jalen Brown, and Amani Hooker all had interceptions against Ben.
No, I wouldn't say Malcolm Butler had just that. He also got treated like a little brother by Chase Claypool. You know, that first down marker, that was pretty funny. Chase Claypool is my kind of petty.
Robert Spillane was a brick wall for Derrick Henry on that near touchdown play. And also, Justin Lane is stepping up. I like to see him getting snaps.
Speaking of stepping up, I think Ray really shows that he should be the punt returner, kick returner, all that. I mean, the way he moves the ball, it's a good thing to see. Speaking of good things to see, dating back to last season, Boswell has made 20 straight field goals. So especially when it comes to a game that was won by a missed field goal, it's great to count on Boz.
Our O-line held firm as Ben wasn't sacked once, and the Steelers won 13 for 18 on third down, while the Titans only won 5 for 13 and 0 for 1 on fourth downs.
Since the NFL went to a 16-game schedule, 94.1% of teams, that's 48 out of the 51, who started 6-0 made the playoffs. Now the 3 unfortunate teams that missed the playoffs were the 2009 Broncos, who finished 8-8, the 03 Vikings, who finished 9-7, the 78 football team. What football team? I don't know. Some team that plays in Washington. Anyways, they finished 8-8.
T.J. Watt got his 40th sack in his first 4 years of his career. That's the Steeler record for most. Lamar Woodley had 39, Joey Porter had 30.5, and Chad Brown had 30.0.
This is the first time we scored an opening drive touchdown since Week 15 of 2018. That is a span of 24 games. That is insane.
The Steelers are 6-0 for the second time in team history. We can tie our record of going 7-0 if we win in Baltimore. That's a pretty challenging task.
Whoa. Slow down with Baltimore. We got to give out our game balls first. Now, offensively, I was thinking Juju, Diontae Johnson, or James Conner. All of them had made strong cases for themselves, but just pure favoritism, I'm going to give it to Juju. The catches he made, even though he didn't score a touchdown, the catches he made were some impressive catches. So, Juju, you get my offensive game ball. Now, defensively, I was torn between Vince Williams and T.J. Watt. I think I'm going to give it to T.J. Watt. The tackles he made on Derrick Henry, pretty impressive.
Okay, so my offensive game ball is going to James Conner. He came into a game where the opponent's running back was supposed to be the lead rusher. He turned out to be the lead rusher. My defensive game ball is going to T.J. Watt. You cannot leave him unblocked or he's going to make a play.
All right, we got a lot to improve on before we could face the Ravens. Ben cannot throw that ball all willy-nilly. I know a lot of the interceptions weren't his fault, but at the end of the day, he threw the ball. Now, defensively, Minkah needs to be in the right places at the right time. There's that play by A.J. Brown. Minkah, he took the wrong angle, and that's what led to the touchdown. So, Ben and Minkah, I would like to see improve.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short and sweet here for my improvements. Ben and Minkah need to improve for this next game to bring home another W.
All right. We need this dub. It's a divisional opponent. It's the Baltimore Ravens. I don't think they're going to lose many more games, so we need to stay on top of them. We need to shut down Lamar's rushing lanes, and I think TJ and Bud could contain him in the pocket, and then Vince Williams could come right through that line and clean him up. If we could do that, we'll win.
Okay, so the Ravens are coming off of a bye week. This either slowed them down or made them fresh. I hope it slowed them down. That's not good news. We need to contain Lamar.
Now, our game against them last year, remember, we only played Lamar one time, but our game against Lamar last year was his worst game during the regular season. The key factor here, though, is we're missing Devin Bush. So hopefully Spillane is healthy enough to start again, or we may be looking at outside help.
Yeah, we need a strong middle linebacker for that QB spot. Anyways, we're going to go into predictions for this game. So I think Ben will have 175 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. I think James Conner will barely top 100 yards, going 102, and Ebron will be our lead receiver. I'm hoping for that because he's been putting up some numbers, but they're not really all that shiny, so to say.
Now, I think Ben will top over 200 yards. He did so in most of the games he's played this season. I will say around 260, 270, around that area. He'll end up with 2 touchdowns and an INT, like you said. James Conner, he's going to hit over 100. I have faith in my guy. And then the lead receiver, I'm going with Juju again. Because, again, Claypool creates a mismatch. So you're going to want to double cover him. So Juju gets the nod this week.
Okay, so I think Lamar Jackson will have 195 passing yards and 56 rushing yards. Hollywood Brown will have 102 of those passing yards, and Mark Ingram will have 26 of those passing yards. Mark Ingram will also have 96 rushing yards.
Now, I think Lamar Jackson is going to end up with around 190 passing yards, 40-ish rushing yards, 2 TDs, 2 INTs. Leading receiver will be Marquise Brown, Hollywood. He'll top 100 in receiving yards because Steelers defense likes to give that up. And Mark Ingram is going to rush for 47 yards. And then J.K. Dobbins is going to top 68 yards.
Okay, so my splash play is that Robert Spillane gets a strip sack and we recover it and bring it back for a touchdown. That would be the game-winning touchdown.
I hope Spillane's healthy enough to go. But my splash play, Edmunds is going to get a pick and return it for 40-something yards, setting up the game-winning field goal.
Okay, so my score predictions is that the Ravens get 21 points and we get 24. That play, that Robert Spillane play, is how we win.
You're right with the 24, but it's going to be Baltimore with the 24, Steelers 27, Boz game-winning field goal. He did it for the brand.
Okay, guys, please take those 7 seconds that it does take to drop your score predictions down below, and you never know, you could win a free table towel.
All right, guys, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for watching, subscribing. Make sure to click that bell to get notified when we put out new content. Let us know below what you want us to put out. Another tier list, other ideas. We're here for it. Well, thank you for watching. This has been Steal the Game.
We out.
Here we go, Steelers.